All right, just got 20 seconds to go.
I'm on.
Thank you. And that's 10 o'clock. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to the ordinary meeting of the Douglas Shire Council being held on Tuesday, 27th of July 21 at the Moscow Council Chambers. I hereby give notice that according to section 277E of the Local Government Regulations 2012, that the ordinary meeting of council will be restricted in numbers of public attendance because of health and safety reasons associated with the public health emergency involving COVID-19. This ordinary meeting of council will be available to view via live stream on council's website and will also be available for others to watch at a later time. I'd like to acknowledge the Gugyulanji people who are the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I'd also like to pay respect to their elders, both past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to other Indigenous Australians who may be listening or watching our meeting this morning. Now, we have all councillors present, our CEO and the number of staff that we have, and we also have members of the media here as well. Conflicts of interest, councillors?
Yes.
Councillor Nolan?
Yeah, thank you. I, Councillor Noel, informed the meeting that I have perceived a declarable conflict of interest for agenda item 5.1, as I have the same surname as one of the applicants. As a result of this, I will leave the meeting room while the matters to consider and vote on, and this is consistent with the decision of councillors of a few months ago, the original, which you're changing.
Thank you, Councillor Nolan. Anything else? All right, we'll move on to the mayoral minute, 3.1. The councillors are advised there's a mayoral minute to come through for today, which is that the council requests the Chief Executive Officer to bring a report regarding a proposal to implement the Building Douglas Committee to the September 21 Ordinary Council meeting. Just some information on it, that the council has informally discussed this matter on previous occasions as a sought to improve both transparency and engagement. The Building Douglas Committee is a proposal to improve both transparency and public engagement with council. The committee would be constituted as a standing committee of council under section 264 of the Queensland Local Government Regulations 2012. Meeting once per month, the committee would review the most council reports before those reports are forwarded on to the ordinary council meeting. Importantly, members of the public would be able to make 3-minute verbal submissions for council and or make written submissions on these agenda items. This resolution asks the Chief Executive Officer to provide a report to council outlining the following. 1, how the committee would be formally constituted under the local government regulations. 2, how the committee would function under the current standing orders and what, if any, changes may be required to those orders. 3, the criteria for determining which reports would go to the committee. 4, the process by which the public submissions would be managed. And 5, the benefits and risks of implementing such a committee. I think this is a great opportunity to open us up further for different items when they're coming through council, that the members of the public are able to come in and have a say and advise us on how they're feeling. If anyone wishes to speak against the motion? Councillor Zamataro?
Thank you. Look, I have some questions for you, Mayor Kelvin. Firstly, who would be in this committee? Who would choose the committee? Who will be choosing who's part of this committee? And you're saying that they'll be looking at council agendas. When will they get the agenda? Because we only get on a Thursday night before our meeting, so I'm not sure what the time frame is going to be for them to see that between Thursday night and the meeting on Tuesday, or for us to be meeting with them anyway.
Well, your answer to that is the committee is the councillors, us. We're the
That doesn't
committee.
explain that there.
Well, that has been spoken about, and that will come through in the report from the Chief Executive Officer as well.
So the committee is the council, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, that probably should have been made.
So,
So,
explain that first, I
Sorry,
don't, I
can we
don't
just-
understand. Can you explain it first, or I don't understand? So who is,
Okay. I thought we'd already covered this, so we'll
No,
cover
we
it
haven't.
basically beforehand. What happens is that we sit like this as a council, but it's a more relaxed version of the OCM, which allows people such as anyone who may be involved in a thing that's coming to council to have a 3 minute, which is already booked in through the staff, 3 minutes to actually tell us what they're feeling about the item that's about to come before us. It gives them an opportunity to, advise us personally how it's going to affect them. It opens us up to allowing these people to actually come and speak to us in a public forum. It's a more relaxed version of the OCM, allowing different things to happen. These things can, because we are an official council, make a decision there and then and pass it on, or we can forward it on to the OCM to be formally adopted at the OCM at a later stage.
I'm confused. Formally, pass it on to the OCM suggestions from the public.
No.
I'm really confused by it.
Well, this is why it's important to have this come through, so that the Chief Executive Officer can put it all formalised in the document before it's actually approved by council to do it.
what day do you suggest this is going to happen? Because one of the agendas on Thursday.
Will have happened on the week before Thursday. So the Thursday for the Tuesday for this meeting, and then of course anything else that goes to the other OCM will happen on the Thursday also.
So,
We're basically opening up a second council meeting each month.
so on the Friday or Monday, what day are you suggesting? The day before
The
the
Thursday, as per normal, the reports would come out.
But that's Thursday night, we said, so we can't have it on Thursday.
Again, this would be all explained when you get the full document when it comes to council.
Yes, but we need a document that comes with a little bit of understanding.
Okay, the Mayoral Minute clearly states what it is, and that's to ask the Chief Executive Officer to provide all these details. Okay, do you wish for the CEO to provide these details to us is what we're asking here and what I'm putting forward as a Mayoral Minute. Anyone else like to speak in the affirmative for it?
Well, I think it's a great idea for the public to be able to have their say face to face to councillors. So if they have issues with what's happening with the next meeting, they can come in for their 3 minutes and put on the table what their concerns are. It gives us a bit of time to rethink if this is what our thoughts are on it and get the full story. And as I brought up before in meetings, sometimes we don't get the full information how it affects other people. So this is the opportunity for the public to be able to come in and sit down with us and have a talk. Instead of listening to all the crap that's on social media, that most of them are lies. So get the people in, let them talk to us and have a face-to-face with them. And I think it's a great idea, and I think we should really support this for our Shire.
Anyone else wish to speak in the negative?
Well, there's some questions. Will these meetings be live streamed? Well, no, they won't, because that's already been voted against last month, wasn't it? So no, they won't be live streamed, will they? Will they be open to the public to come in as
Councillor
well?
Nolly, you're assuming things. When this report comes through, of course, it is a council meeting. It can be live streamed.
It can't be a council meeting, but anyway. Right. So I'd just like to summarise, if I got this right. Selected members of the public will receive the agenda on the same day as elected members. Then these public people will give their uneducated opinions, uneducated in the sense, not that they're stupid people, but uneducated in the sense that they have no counsellor education, formal qualifications, that type of thing. On matters,
I'm
no,
sorry,
I
I
don't-
think
I haven't
that's
finished.
disrespectful
I'm not-
to
listen
the
to what-
public.
Excuse
No.
me, can we just keep,
Uneducated in the sense that they haven't done any training, that sense. I'm not saying they're stupid, I'm saying that they have done no training, counsellor training. On matters, so they're going to give their opinions on matters that councillors have had the privilege of probably speaking about with staff and perhaps other workshops previous. And we have our councillor experience. I've got nearly 8 years, you guys got already more than a year. So these members of the public, they're going to be, I don't know, taken into regard more than an email I may receive, a telephone call I may receive, or a stop on the street that I might receive from other people. So is that what's basically been proposed?
Councillor Nolly, you're an intelligent person. You make your own mind up. This is just another way of people to be able to come in here and give their perspective across. If they've got an item that's coming up, whichever one may be, and it affects them personally because it's happening next door or down the road, it gives them an opportunity to put their perspective across. Therefore, you use your experience and your intelligence to make a final decision.
So I'm still confused as to when this is going to occur. We get an agenda on a Thursday night. So we have a meeting on the Monday or Friday or Saturday, Sunday, I'm confused.
Well, that's even better reason to put this report together then. But my assumption of it would be the report would come forward on a Thursday, the same as it always does. People that it affects have the opportunity to book an appointment on the Friday for the following Tuesday's meeting. Okay? They can come in, say their piece. We can either make a decision on that one because it is a formal.
So you're saying say their piece at an official meeting?
It's a council meeting, but it's going to be called the Building Douglas Committee rather than an ordinary council meeting, which allows us to drop some of the formalities. Still gives us the power to pass things through. Or we can move them forward to the ordinary council meeting the following week to be passed. Anyway, anyone speak? Have you finished, Councillor Nolan?
No, well, first of all, I would be guessing this is probably not legislatively possible, but anyway, that was to be seen.
Councillor Nolly, it is legislatively possible, it happens at other councils.
Fantastic. Okay, rightio. So also, what is there going to be some kind of obligation for councils to attend? Because, for example, Fridays I teach. I've got another job that I teach, which I can't really get out of. So, like, how's this going to work? There's going to be evenings?
That will be up to councillors to decide when this comes to us, won't it?
Okay, well, I'm just trying to work things out now.
But I'd assume it would be the Tuesday prior, that's what I've got in my head, so to keep Tuesdays as council days, as we've discussed. And, that is a priority for a councillor to be at council meetings.
So the Tuesday prior to a council meeting, is that correct?
That's correct.
So we'll have the agenda a week and a half earlier.
Yes. And the items that will be passed through, there may be other items that will come to the OCM, financial documents, operational plan stuff, that doesn't need to go to a Building Douglas committee, that can go straight through. But again, as it says here, the criteria of, what would be going to the committee and what wouldn't be, that will be decided by us when we get this report. Anyone else wish to speak in the affirmative?
Yeah, I just think it's a good idea. Probably a bit of clarity on, I gather it's going to be instead of a workshop a week prior to a council meeting. That's what I gather, but I think it's a good idea to get the public in to have their say, as we had spoken about early in the piece. There's no problems. Just the mechanics of it's going to be interesting.
I agree. I think it's a good idea. Giving more transparency in a different way, it allows us to still have workshops where staff are advising us of confidential information that may be required. It also gives us an opportunity for the public to come in, have their say in a more relaxed environment rather than the ordinary council meeting. So we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Nolly, Councillor Thomason, Councillor Kerr, Councillor McEwen. All those against? Councillor Zamataro. Motion's carried. All right, so that takes us through to the confirmation of the minutes for Tuesday, the 29th of June. Can I remove it, please? Yeah. Councillor Thomason, seconded by Councillor McEwen. Any comments, councillors? All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. That takes us to the agenda items. Agenda item 5.1, the minor changes to development approval for the retirement facility 111 to 119 Port Douglas Road. Thank you, Councillor Knowles. All right, yeah, so the recommendation is the council approves the minor change applications, the material change of use development approval for the retirement village facilities, over land described as lot 3 RP 729991 in accordance with the following conditions, which is quite extensive there. We'll take those as read. Did you have a mover for this one?
Yeah.
Councillor McEwen? I'm happy to second that. Councillor Kerr, second. Councillor McEwen, did you wish to say anything?
Pretty self-explicit. It's just a simple change.
Anyone wish to speak against? Any further comments from councillors? No, all good? Okay, we'll put that to the vote then. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Okay, so 5.2, I'd actually like to pull forward to adjourn this item to the following council meeting, if we can, please. There's a couple of questions. Would I have a seconder for that? Councillor Zamataro got in first. So I shall move that. Councillor Zamataro seconded. Anyone against adjourning it? No, we'll put it to the vote then. All those in favour? And that's carried. All right, 5.3. Application to extend currency period for ROL 1 into 68 lots in the park at 12 to 36 Altura Drive, Mosman. The recommendation is the council approves the extension application for the development permit for the reconfiguration of a lot for 1 lot into 68 lots and park over land described as lot 113 on SP 213765. Now known as Lot 401 on SP 317071, as per the negotiated decision notice dated 28th of March 2017, for a further 6 years up to and including 28th September 2027, and that the council advised the developer that when designing the remainder of the balance of land for the future application is to include a master plan and consideration of the Mosman local plan, in particular the need for connectivity between the residential estates and the provision of parkland in the southeast corner of the land. Is there a mover for that one? Thank you, Councillor Scomerton. Seconded by Councillor Nolly. Councillor Scomerton, would you like to speak to that at all?
No, it's all good, it's just an extension, it's fine.
Anyone wish to speak against? No. Any other comments from councillors? We'll put that to the vote then. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Thank you. 5.4 on the agenda, Run for Wreath, request for funding. The recommendation is the council will support the Run for Wreath initiative by way of sponsoring the 2022 event of $10,000 GST exclusive cash and in-kind support of $5,000, and 2, delegates authority to the Chief Executive Officer under Section 257 of the Local Government Act 2009 to administer matters associated with the above. I'm happy to move this one. Is there a seconder for it? Councillor Scomerton. Another sporting event, for Port Douglas. It's certainly a great initiative. I know it's internationally, or will grow to be internationally once COVID relaxes, but this is going to be 20 between New Zealand and Australia, which should be great. And then, of course, bringing it all back to Port Douglas to finalise it all. Anyone wish to speak against? No. Any comments from councillors? We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. (5.5) River Improvement Trust Fund. The council recommendations, council resolved that Douglas Shire Council continues using the current framework administered through Terrain, NRM and Queensland Government's disaster recovery funding arrangements for stream bank restoration, in preference of making application to the Minister of Department of Resources to constitute a new River Improvement Trust. Is there a mover for this one? Councillor Nolly, seconded by Councillor Zamataro. Councillor Nolly, do you wish to speak to it?
Yeah, thank you. not a heap to say. I think it's good. Terrain does a lot of great work. They seem to have access to quite a lot of funding. What I would like to do, if it's okay, through the mayor, is just ask our officer to give us a wrap up, a summary for the public about exactly how this works. I think it would be good idea if you don't mind giving a verbal summary. Is that okay?
Through the chair, Mayor Kerr. So generally how this would work, Terrain service our region throughout the wet tropics. They have a plan which is called our Caring for Country plan, which outlines their priorities across the region. Generally there's funding streams that are made available to Terrain through the federal government, and they would go through a prioritisation process to determine how those funds are spent. If we have severe weather events where we're activated as a disaster, additional funding then also becomes available through other channels, and they are also involved to help roll that out on ground as well.
Thank you. I think it's noteworthy that there's been a total of 6.3 million in the Douglas Shire Council area through the project for the last, 3 years? Is that about right? Am I correct in saying 3 to 4 years? Or is that about year?
Through the chair, Mayor Kerr, that was actually for the last calendar year. So in the
Just
last
one
year, so in the last 12 months, there was 6.3 million spent in the Daintree River catchment, and there was also an additional million spent in the Mossman Saltwater catchment. So 7.3 in total for Douglas.
Yes,
That's great.
I think that's really noteworthy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against?
Question, was that wasn't really due to any major flooding events either?
The 6.3 million, Councillor Zemitaro, was activated through disaster recovery arrangements through the 2018 flood event.
Yeah, one Daintree.
So no one wishes to speak against the motion. Any further comments from councillors? Put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried. 5.6, electric quad bike 4 Mile Beach. The recommendation is that council invite the inquirer to make a formal application to council, including the payment of applicable fees as set out in the adopted fees and charges, and conditionally approve the restricted use of an electric quad bike on 4 Mile Beach, Port Douglas. Is there a mover for this one? Councillor Zamataro? I'm happy to second this one. Councillor Zamataro, would you like to speak to it?
Just briefly, Mayor Kerr, I think this is a gentleman that's lived there for many decades and walked on the beach every day of his life. It's virtually another wheelchair he's using. I know it is in the form of a quad bike, it's an electric one, so it won't be making any noise. And I think if it's restricted to where it can go, rather than go north at all, if it just goes south from where he lives, I don't think it should be disturbing anyone, and he gets to spend the last few years being able to go onto the beach every day. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone wish to speak against the motion? No? Yes, I'd just like to confirm what you said there. This most certainly isn't an open slather for quad bikes to be using 4 Mile Beach. This is a special circumstance. It's going to be conditioned, and it's certainly, was well talked about and well discussed to ensure that that would be the case. So I'm more than happy to support this motion under those recommendations.
And it's up to council to make sure that's
Absolutely. So, with that then, no other comments from councillors, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? And that's carried. Five point seven, the contract 28-23 smart water meters. I'd actually like to defer this one so we can get some further details on it. Is someone willing to second that, please? Councillor Scomerson. Anyone against deferring this one? We'll put it to the vote then. All those in favour? And that's carried. Thank you. Right. 5.8, financial report interim June 21. The recommendation is the council notes the interim financial report and estimated financial position for the 2021 financial year. We have the mover for that one. Councillor Scomerson. Seconded by Councillor McEwen. Councillor Scomerson, would you like to speak to?
No, just another great detailed report.
Anyone wish to speak against? Any further comments from councillors regarding this report? Put that to the vote then. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. 5.9. Water restriction level amendment. The recommendation is that council endorse the water restriction schedule within the Douglas Shire. Do we have a mover for that one? Councillor Scomerson, seconded by Councillor McEwen. Councillor Scomerson, would you like to speak to it?
No,
Anyone wish to speak against the motion? Any further comments from councillors?
I'd just like to
Yes, Councillor Zautaro.
do you foresee us using this anytime soon on having a family water restriction?
Through the chair, Councillor Zamtaro, it's the forecast is seems to be fairly mild at the moment. The proposed level 0 restrictions, the water conservation measures, would come in a little bit earlier than when we would have normally gone to level 1 to facilitate that, the knowledge of that onset drying period. But it's certainly been a far more benign year so far, so it's not on the radar at the moment.
So then we've had enough it's still right up there.
Any other comments from councillors? We'll put that to the vote and all those in favour? That gets carried unanimously. All right. Water and wastewater quarterly report for the period ending 30 June. The council receives and notes the progress of quarterly report of the water and wastewater department for the period ending 30 June 2021. Do you have a mover for this one? Councillor Scomerson, seconded by Councillor McEwen. Councillor Scomerson,
Oh, my favourite reports, very detailed and a good read.
anyone wish to speak against the motion? Any further comments from councillors? No? Again, yes, great reports. They're getting more and more detail in them, and I love the pictures and everything. It's just fantastic to see. Again, as always, I recommend people to get online and have a look at these reports and actually see the information that's in them. Put it to the vote. All those in favour? And that's carried. 5.11, the Capital Works Progress Report for Q4 2021. The recommendation is that council receives and notes the progress of the Capital Works program for to 30 June 21 for the 2021 financial year. Have a mover for this one? Councillor Scomerson. I'll second this one. Councillor Scomerson, would you like to speak to it?
Job well done.
Anyone wish to speak against? No? Okay, any other comments from councillors?
I think it's really important that the public do read these reports, because it just shows exactly how much work that is done every year. And you know, the staff have to be congratulated on this amount of work that's performed every year. So I think it's important that people really have a look at these and just see what's been happening in the Shire.
So I couldn't agree with you more. You know, when you see it in writing like this, you see the amount of work that the staff do, and how much they've accomplished and how much they're still doing. It's phenomenal to see. Yeah, it's great, it really is. And thank you to all the staff, especially. With that, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, and that's carried. .12, the operational plan progress report for April to June 2021. The recommendation is that council notes the progress of the implementation of the operational plan 20 to 21. Do you have a mover for this one? Thank you, Ms. Councillor McEwen. We've got in there, seconded by Councillor Scotterson. Councillor McEwen, would you like to speak to it?
Just another good report. And, once again, this is really interesting reading for the public as well. We should take on board.
Anyone wish to speak against? Any comments from councillors?
I have a question, Mayor Curtin. This goal 2, theme 3, investigate and develop a proposal for council consider a zero depth water plant. It says this preferred location is being determined. When did that happen?
We've discussed the location being in Port Douglas. Obviously,
I thought we were still talking about the location. I don't remember getting agreed on the location. Which is where you say, where is it, Bradley's Park, you're saying?
that's what we're designing to.
Are we going to go to public consultation on this? Because it says in that report that we're going to tender.
Oh, that's what that means.
So there has to be a public consultation in between, because I certainly was not certain that that was the defined position. I actually had the same question as councillors at the time, actually.
On the rest of those, that's why I can't remember us making a decision on, that's why I asked the question.
You will take that one on notice, because I mean, this is the past operational plan.
Yeah, I thought we were still in discussion about
The position.
the position.
Yeah. What is this public, where does the public come in? I think we need to ask the public, because this is a big thing, it's a permanent thing. That's not like you sit there and move next year if it's no good.
Absolutely, I'm sure we're all very keen to get it done, because the last thing I want is
I'm very much in support of it.
15 years and still have nothing. But as far as I'm aware, the design is being done so that it could go out to public consultation as a full design.
Okay, but it says that the tender's going out next month. So I think we need to have the position formalised before we.
Yeah, I suppose, you have to have costings as well beforehand. But yeah, we'll take that on notice and get back to councillors on it.
Yeah, no, it's just the tender's going to make a difference where the location is going to make a difference to the tender.
Cool.
Happy to bring it back to another workshop.
All right. Any other comments on that one?
Another question.
Yes.
Theme 1, goal 1.3. Contemporary housing solutions for the retirement market. It says explore opportunities for further development of retirement solutions for the whole Shire, including the potential for the sale of council land and the opportunity for revenue. It's completed. So what exactly does it mean in context to this initiative that it's completed?
Lisa, are you able to comment on that one?
Through you, Mayor Michael, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Oh, yes, sorry. So I'll reread the whole one. Explore opportunities for further development of retirement solutions for the whole Shire, including potential for sale of council land and the opportunity for revenue. And then it says it's completed. Now, what does complete mean in context to this initiative?
This initiative was sort of divided and completed by 3 different areas. The property team did look at council land and whether council wanted to dispose of any or not, and that was.
So in that context, I mean, basically what surplus land we have that council owns?
Yeah, all right. And then, as far as I'm aware, the planning team were also in talks with people about the proposed aged care developer people, and that's not my area of expertise, but I know that was presenting to council workshop with developers.
So that's in context to near the
Yes.
nursing home, okay?
And that's certainly the economic development strategy and the work of the Tito's has been to look at explore options for enticing more people here of a, sort of targeted immigration, for want of a better word, and that will require all the services and housing solutions that will require that,
Okay,
that will require. Apologies.
yeah, no, I understood you saying. Okay, so, just was wondering if this had any reference to selling land to fund in some way, retirement development, village development. Okay, fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I will add that it was brought to a workshop, councillor Nolly, the blocks of lands that were available, the ones
Yes,
that.
I remember that. But it sounded a little bit different to the wording in that, and that's why I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Any further comments? Thank you for that, Spalding. With that, we'll put it to the vote then. All those in favour? That's carried. 5.13, report from the Chief Executive Officer for the period of April to June 21. The recommendation is the Council receives and notes the organisational report card and the report from the Chief Executive Officer for the period of April to June 2021. I'm happy to move that one. Is there a seconder? Councillor Scompson? Thank you. Another very detailed report showing an incredible amount of work that's been done over the past months there, from April to June. It's a very thick document. And as always, as I say to people, go online and have a look and see how this council is tracking and the amount of work it's doing. These reports really show where rate money goes to. I mean, people will be seeing that their rate notices are coming out this week. There is a breakdown in there of where things go to, but by reading these reports, you truly do see, what happens with your rate money and why we do have to charge what we charge to get these sorts of works done in this show and keep us operating, keep us running. Anyone wish to speak against it? Any further comments from councillors? No? With that, we put it to the vote then. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Thank you very much for that report, Mr. Stormer. Much appreciated. So that's 5.13. And that concludes today then. That's all the agenda items done. And that closes the meeting at 10:36. Thank you very much.